back to the channel. I have been considering making this video for quite a while, and I'm just going to talk about what I'm observing right now in terms of practical tools for helping people to clear this. I'm not 100% sure what the best approach is, but I want to shed some light on this particular problem and just make people aware of basically implants, right? Which is, it's like an etheric overlay, and it's used to steer consciousness, right? It is overlaid onto your bioenergetic field, which has effects on your thinking, your consciousness, your state of mind. Has effects on the chakra system. It's going to sway your decision making, and in some cases, can lead to basically opening holes in your auric field, which can lead to possession, demonic attachments, dark entity attachments, these sorts of things, right? Now, I want to talk about a particular what I would call implant that is really, I'm seeing really strongly. I'm seeing it very often, and that is essentially this exact phrase, this exact thought. And I'm seeing it everywhere. Every single person that I have that I've spoken about Halkunst specifically to has said this exact thing. They've literally said, "I can't afford to do healing work. Like I can't afford Halkunst. I can't afford, to invest any money or time into myself, into my healing," right? And it's literally so ubiquitous that this has literally been the excuse that I have been given by every single person that I have given the advice to reach out to a health counselor to. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. And what's interesting is that in each case, I've been able to talk to, these are people that I know, right? Mostly. Some of them are not people I know as well, but most of these people are people that I know. And I will watch them do things like buy the new $1,000 iPhone, and they've got their Starbucks latte every day, and they've got, what I mean? They're spending money frivolously on all kinds of things, right? But when you bring up healing, right, probably literally like one of the most important things they could possibly do, they immediately, their consciousness shifts and they go, "Oh, I can't afford to do that." And you talk to them, right? I'll talk to them and I will literally point all these things out and they can't see it. This is literally mind control. And, part of overcoming these types of things is simply being aware of it, looking at that and going, you know what, that really doesn't make sense. Why is it that when I think about doing this particular thing, my mind all of a sudden activates and starts making up reasons and excuses why I can't do it, right? And another one that's really common is I get people reaching out to me constantly, right? In the twin flame community, right? And they're going through one of these dynamics. And, most people, everybody's going through their own stages, right? Everybody's at different levels and different points, right? But pretty much every single person I talk to without fail, at some time or another will be at a point where they are really suffering. They're really hurting. They're really they're going through things that are really painful. And they ask me questions, right? And it's very often like the same questions over and over again, right? And it's the same people asking the same questions over and over again, right? And of course, it's different for each person. But what I will do is I will try to explain everything to them, and I'll break it down pretty simply, but I will say, look, if you want to understand this, if you really want to understand this, you need to read this material, this material, this material. And I give people all the sources, right? I am very good about citing sources on here, and I'm very good about providing information. I have more PDFs than you could read in 10 years, okay? I have collected so much fucking data, and I haven't read all of it, but I've gotten through a lot of it, and there are certain key texts that need to be read. They really just need to be read. One of them would be Voyagers by Ashayana Dean. The Kabbalion, getting into cosmic law. I would really highly suggest that you at least go take a look at ascensionglossary.com, Lisa Renee's material. These are things that, these are just very fundamental basics that need to be understood. I don't agree with every little thing in this book, but reading the Four Agreements, for example, it's kind of like required reading, man. Some of these things are required reading so that you can understand how shit works. And it's people this particular thing, this is a vampiric implant, right? Asking someone for advice, and I see this almost every single day, right? People ask me questions, they ask me for advice, or they ask me how does this work? I had somebody today asking me well, how does the Schumann resonance correspond with the chakra system and the mental body, and how does it correspond with our brainwave frequencies and all that? And I'm I have videos on that, so you can search my name in Schumann resonance. But and they were asking a bunch of questions, and it's all questions that this person has asked me before, and I've been what do you want me to do? Do you want me to just do the work for you? Because that's where most people are at. They don't actually want to do any of their own research. They want somebody else to do it for them and to explain everything to them. But here's the thing. Unless you process this yourself, you're not ever going to get it. If you don't do this work yourself, you're never going to get it. And if you don't do the healing work, you're not going to be whole. You're not going to be healed. There's things that need to be done. You know what I mean? You really can't just float along through this and actually operate at a high level. It's not going to happen. There are things that you need to understand. Now, not everybody has to understand the mathematical intricacies of, the details of morphogenetic fields and the 12-strand DNA and how that all works. Not everybody needs to have that understanding, but you need to understand the fundamentals so that you can apply what is useful from that into your own practice and into your own conscious awareness, right? And no one can do that for you. And in terms of healing, right? I mean, to me, after having done 3 years of a Halkun's timeline, for example, it's not the only way to heal, but it's a very, very good one. And it's certainly the best tool that I've found. It's become very, very apparent to me how unbelievably helpful this could be for so many people, right? And it also, I don't know, it can't be lost on people that I have tremendously improved my life. There have been people that have seen me go through all of everything that I've been through, right? Who got to see the worst parts. I mean, I didn't share the worst parts on the channel, so they've literally seen me make that quantum leap, and they know, and I tell them this is how I did it, right? And then, when they ask me for advice or they ask me for help, and I say, well, go do this. It's not expensive. You know what I mean? They just shut down. That's an implant. It's an implant, and, there are definitely ways that you can clear these. You can work with people who understand them a little better than I do, who, believe there are people out there who can help you to actually go into the etheric body and into the different bodies and remove these implants, remove them from the mental body, right? That's not something that, I'm necessarily qualified to do at this point, but it can be done. But you can overcome this within yourself simply by recognizing it and making a conscious decision not to listen to those thoughts when they come up, right? Because they are not yours. They aren't yours. Okay? These have been overlaid and implanted in your consciousness, and this is how demons operate as well, right? And this is very common with sexuality, and it's been, in fact, something that I've dealt with quite a lot, which is why I've talked about it, right? I literally remember the night that essentially a demon jumped into me and started steering my consciousness and, essentially getting me to be, aroused by, certain fetishes and certain types of activities, right? And at the time, I had no fucking idea what was going on, right? And what happens is that, it steers your consciousness, right? And you think it's you. And so you start doing all of these things and strengthening those neural pathways, right? Because it will be reflected in the mind. And, in the physical neural net, the physical neural wiring, right? And it becomes harder and harder and harder to overcome over time. Just like any other addiction, like smoking, or like drinking or anything like that, right? Every time you do that behavior and you reinforce it, right, you're strengthening those neural pathways in your physical brain, right? And so these things can be overcome through the force of will alone. And it is difficult. I'm not going to say that it's not, but the whole purpose of this video is to recognize what's going on and to know the difference and to understand, like, at a fundamental level, that not all of your thoughts are yours, like straight the fuck up. And there's been times in my life where I was in a very low state. You see this with people that are in chronic depressive episodes, or people that are in a dark night of the soul, right? And they start having those thoughts of wanting to kill themselves, right? That's not you. Those are not your thoughts. Straight the fuck up. Those are not the thoughts that are coming from your higher self, from your connection to who you truly are. Who you truly are would never fucking do that. Who you truly are, that being, that core essence connected to divine source, would never think that way. Okay? Really need to understand this. You really need to get this through your heads. And it took me a long time to realize this. So, I have compassion. I'm getting a little passionate right now. I'm getting a little bit fired up. But this really needs to be understood, man, because I'm seeing so many fucking people struggle that don't have to be struggling. And they're struggling because of things that are fairly simple, but they can't recognize it because they don't have the awareness. They don't have the experience. They don't have the proper knowledge necessary to see these things for what the fuck they are and overcome them. And, it's to be aware and to step out of denial, that these things are real, that these things are happening, that, that we're not perfect, that maybe we did get fucking raked out, that maybe, maybe we did get fooled, maybe we did, agree to allow a demon to operate our body on it, on somewhat of an unconscious level, right? We make these agreements for various reasons. Demons have jobs, right? You got implants, you got demons, you got all kinds of different shit going on, right? And all of it's real, and all of it has effects on us. And those of you that are like indigos, or that are going through an awakening, or who have been through an awakening, if you are one of the people that's here, that's a powerful being, that's here to be a spiritual warrior, what you got to understand is that you have more of this than the average person, because the average person, it doesn't take a whole lot to restrain. Do you understand? You have more of the primal sound fields of light coming through your being. You are a greater threat. They have way more shit coming at you than, Susie over there who doesn't know anything, okay? And they don't, it's Ethicus Boza talks about this a lot. You got to get away from constantly researching what's going on in the government and what this group is up to, what this faction is up to, getting caught in these traps where you're constantly researching things that are negative, that are keeping your frequency low because you're fucking putting yourself in a state of fear or a state of anger or all these lower states, right? Because that's when you're vulnerable. Okay, and it's not to say that we don't want to be aware. We need to be aware, and it is a stage that people go through doing that research phase and even facing that fear. But there comes a point where you need to pull yourself the fuck out of that shit and focus on your inner work, right? And that doesn't mean turning everything off and going back to the fucking slave matrix job and just becoming a robot like everybody else. No, it means really doing your inner work, and it means really doing your healing work. And this is the shit that we need to do if we're going to affect real change out here, because we can't solve the problems of the world from the level of consciousness that created them. And the only way to increase your level of consciousness and to integrate is to do this work. And I cannot stress this enough. This needs to be done. We need to face the mirror. We need to do the healing work. And on an unconscious, subconscious level, the reason that a lot of people don't do this work is they're actually afraid to do the work. They're actually afraid to heal because you are going to face parts of yourself that you don't want to look at. And you are going to have to face dealing with entity attachments and all kinds of things that are quite unpleasant to go through and quite unpleasant to purge, but it's the only way. It's basically like, do you want to live the rest of your life at a low level of suffering so that you can avoid a moment of great pain? Or do you want to go through, some moments where it's going to really fucking hurt, but then after, things are going to get better, right? You got to be willing to fucking step into the maelstrom, man. You've got to be willing to step into the storm. You've got to be willing to sit in the eye of that storm. And you've got to be willing to explore the depths of your own being, and we've been polarized. We've been corrupted. We've all sinned, right? And we've all got these darker aspects of ourselves. And we've all got genetic overlays and epigenetic overlays and, ancestral trauma and bullshit to heal. And, on a collective level, we're all morphogenetically linked. If you share the same genetic code with somebody, you have a morphogenetic resonance, right? And so the more closely that you are, the more DNA that you share, right, the more resonance that you have, right? People in your soul group are going to have a lot greater morphogenetic resonance for you. So when you step through these portals and you activate your DNA and you unlock the epigenetic, right? When you turn on certain genes and stuff like that, right? It creates a vibrational frequency that ripples out, right? And it allows others to do the same more easily, like the 100th monkey syndrome, right? And those of us who, are keepers, right, of divine templates, right? It's our fucking job to blaze the trail here, okay? And no one's gonna do it for us. No angel, no Jesus, nobody's coming in to fix this for us. They can guide, and they will teach you to fish, but they're not gonna give you fish, if you understand what I mean. Any true light being is not going to enable you to be dependent on them, right? They're going to teach you how to become your greatest version, and they're going to teach you how to harness your own power that you anchor in from your connection to your higher self and source. They are not going to foster dependency. And, these people out there in the new age, that are talking about, the Galactic Federation and all this fucking bullshit, who are saying that, these aliens are going to come in and save us and all that. That is a fucking psyop control agenda, and it's designed to get you to be passive and complacent. That's why they teach people not to stand up for themselves. That's why they teach people to just accept everything. That's why they teach people moral relativism. That's why all these things are being done. It's to get you to sit there and fucking take it instead of doing something about it. You know, and we do need to affect change out there, and we do need to take stands against things. But the first thing we need to do is we need to go inward and heal ourselves and actually get to a level where the ideas and the decisions that we're making are truly in alignment with the highest good of ourselves and everyone involved. You can't even begin to comprehend the things that you need to even make decisions at that level until you do that inner work and get yourself to that level, right? We need to step into the Athenor. We need to step into the alchemical fire. We need to step into that third energy, twin flames, and you need to burn off the dross, okay? Which is, you know, when it's a metaphor, right? But when you are, you know, putting metal into a crucible, into an alchemical vessel, there is dross, there's impurities in the metal that rise to the top, right? And can burn off, right? And this is what we're doing. You know, this is what the whole point of activation and ignition and, you know, that heart chakra opening and meeting your twin flame is. It's not about this fluffy romance bullshit, man. You might not even have a relationship with that person. The point is to step into that energy and to transform. You know, and like the butterfly, you know, I've talked about this before. You might have to turn into fucking goo, right? You know, the caterpillar, when it goes into the cocoon, literally dissolves its whole body and then reconstructs it, right? It's like the ultimate tower moment. You know, when you have that ignition, you know, there's people going through this right now, but when you have that ignition, you know, you move into this, your state of consciousness, it moves into like that bubble of frequency, that extremely high frequency experience of reality, right? And, you know, people of course want to stay there, you know, but but you can't, because you're here in a body and we're meant to anchor that down in. But as soon as you come back down from cloud 9, guess what? This place looks even more like a nightmare. And that's when people go through that really tough, dark night of the soul and their entire lives get ripped apart, right? But it's with purpose. It's tearing down that faulty structure that's been built on a faulty foundation, right? That's been built out of sin, basically, out of materialistic desires and ego desires and these types of things, right? And we're tearing down that false construction within ourselves, and we are rebuilding upon the stone. And, you know, what that essentially means is in alignment with truth and our true hardcore intelligence, right? What does your heart guide you to do, you know? And what has happened here is that, you know, essentially, you know, the betrayal of Thoth is, you know, it's not a metaphor, but it can be thought of metaphorically, you know, where the thought has betrayed the heart, right? You know, we have favored our intellect and our thinking and, you know, our Ahrimanic materialistic scientific lens of things, right? And we've been chasing all of these material desires, right, while forsaking the heart. Well, that shit ain't gonna fly anymore. And, you know, when you have that ignition, man, you try to resist that, and it's gonna kick your ass until you understand, until you start to see things and operate from your first eye, from your true hardcore intelligence, you know. And, you know, for people who are really stubborn, like myself, it's gonna really, really kick your ass, you know. And, you know, the person that, frankly, I mean, you know, I'm just gonna say it, the person that I have, you know, thought of as my twin flame, man, whoo, she's in for a fucking ride, man. Anyway, I'm gonna be done, man. I've been rambling. I've been ranting. You know, I feel good. I feel good expressing this, getting this out. I feel like this is a message I was meant to deliver today. Yeah, you know, I kind of went off on a couple tangents there, but we need to you see what's beyond all of the bullshit that's going on in this reality field right now, and connect to that true intelligence, connect to our higher selves, the higher force source, God's source, creator source, right? Because all this fucking overlay bullshit that we're looking at right now, this is not who we truly are. And that will become more and more and more apparent to you as time goes on and as you go through the activations, right? And so it's to see that these when, for example, right, when someone like myself shows you the door, right, you say, I want to heal, I want to get better, I want to be whole, right? And someone says, here, walk through this door. You need to see what it is that's preventing you from doing that. What is preventing you from taking that next step? What part of your field is being fucking hijacked to make you afraid, or make you lazy, or make you passive complacent? Where are the fucking warriors? It's time. I'm gonna be done. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button down below and click the icon to your left to subscribe. New content every week about spirituality and addiction from myself, Joe Fortin. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time.